Have you ever wondered how a chatbot actually remembers the first thing you said to it, like 20 messages ago? Or how a whole team of AI agents can work together on one single problem? Well, the answer to all of that, it lies in how they remember. So today, we're going to unpack the 4 distinct ways an AI builds its memory. And that brings up a really great question, right? We think of memory, and we picture brains, neurons and synapses doing your thing. But AI, well, it's just code and data. So if there's no biological brain in there, where does it keep its thoughts? Well, the secret isn't some single memory chip. It's actually a super clever system of different memory types all working together. So instead of thinking of a single hard drive, think of it more like a specialized toolkit for remembering. And these are what we call memory architectures. To really get how these work, let's kind of put on our AI developer hats for a minute. They're essentially building an artificial mind from scratch, and they do it using 4 key pillars of memory. Okay, so we're going to dive into each of these 4 pillars, what we're calling the train of thought, the knowledge library, the agent's diary, and the shared brain. And as you can see, we're using these human analogies to make these pretty complex ideas way easier to wrap your head around. All right, our first pillar. This one is the most immediate, the most familiar type of memory. For an AI, this is its train of thought, and it's basically its short-term memory. This is the AI's working memory. It's what allows a model to follow the thread of a single conversation you're having with it. It's incredibly fast, but, and here's the catch, just like our own focus, it's fleeting. Once the conversation is over or the context window gets too full, poof, it forgets. And this comparison makes it super clear. For an AI, its short-term memory is what's called the context window, all the information it has for the current chat. It's literally just like your own train of thought right now. You're focused on this, not what you had for breakfast last Tuesday. That's short-term memory in action. But an AI needs more than just what's happening right now, right? What about everything it knows beyond the current conversation? Well, that brings us to our second pillar, the knowledge library. This is its long-term memory. This is where things get really, really powerful. Long-term memory is like a permanent database an AI can check anytime. It's not just remembering the last thing you said, it's remembering facts, complex concepts, and learned skills. It's essentially an external brain it can access on demand. So how does it actually store all this stuff? It's basically a 3-step process. First, it takes in some information. Then, and this is the cool part, it converts that idea into a unique string of numbers, called an embedding. Think of it like a very specific GPS coordinate for a concept. This lets the AI understand relationships between ideas, not just words. And finally, it stores that coordinate in a massive, super efficient digital library called a vector database. And this just nails the analogy. That high-tech vector database is the AI's version of your personal knowledge library, everything you've ever learned. And because it stores ideas as coordinates, the AI can search for conceptual meaning. So when it needs to remember something, it just looks for the closest coordinate in its database and pulls up the most relevant info. It's incredibly smart and fast. Okay, so an AI has its short-term focus and a huge long-term library. But what about learning from its own, experiences? That brings us to our third pillar, the agent's diary, or its episodic memory. Episodic memory is exactly how an AI learns from doing. It keeps a log of its past interactions, what worked, what didn't. The key thing here is that it's not just knowing a fact, it's remembering a specific instance, a specific episode, to help it make better choices next time. Yeah, it's the difference between knowing that fire is hot and remembering that one time I touched the stove. For an AI, this could be remembering a specific user question it totally botched, so it can try a different approach in the future. It's how an agent gets better and more personalized over time. Okay, our final pillar is the most cutting edge, and it's a type of memory that's pretty much unique to AI. We're calling it the shared brain. This is its consensus memory. So imagine a whole team of AI agents all working on a really complex problem. Instead of each one having to learn everything on its own from scratch, they can all add to and pull from a shared pool of knowledge. That's consensus memory. It's what makes true AI collaboration possible. And this chart shows it perfectly. Each agent goes out, discovers something new, and adds its little piece to the collective puzzle. Agent 1 figures out one part of a system, Agent 2 figures out another, and then Agent 3 can immediately access both of those findings without having to redo any of the work. It's just incredibly efficient. The absolute best way to think about it is a team's shared whiteboard in an office. Everyone can see the notes, everyone can add their own ideas, and they can build on each other's work in real time. This stops them from doing the same work twice and makes sure the entire team of agents is on the same page with the same up-to-date info. So, we've looked at the 4 distinct pillars of AI memory, from the fleeting thought to the collective brain. But what happens when you snap them all together? So just to recap it all, we've got short-term memory, the AI's train of thought. We've got long-term memory, its vast knowledge library. There's episodic memory, the agent's personal diary. And finally, consensus memory, the shared brain. When you combine all of these, you create something so much more powerful than a simple chatbot. You build an AI that can hold a real conversation, learn from its past, access a gigantic library of knowledge, and work with other AIs on complex tasks. This, right here, is the foundation for the next generation of artificial intelligence. And all of this leaves us with a final, kind of mind-bending question to chew on. As these memory systems get more and more sophisticated, blending vast knowledge with logs of experiences, where do we draw the line between an AI just recalling data and an AI that is, in some way, genuinely experiencing its world?